excited that you've come back. Last week we started talking about thinking distortions and why they were important in our journey to living well, to living prosperous, and becoming chronically unstoppable. So I want to continue the conversation with the 5 most common thinking distortions that I have seen with my clients, with my friends, with my family, and of course with myself. So if you want the best advice and tips on how to live well with your chronic conditions and stand tall and be chronically unstoppable, subscribe to this channel and click the little bell so that you're reminded every Tuesday when I drop a new video. So the first kind of thinking distortion that I see all the time, including in my own life, is overgeneralization. You are in this thought pattern of, oh my goodness, this has happened to me once. It's going to happen again and again and again. And you know what does happen? Because you keep thinking that, those patterns keep repeating. So there are ways to, once you start recognizing it, that we can shift that pattern into something else. Just because something's happened once doesn't mean it's going to happen again. I mean, here's a way to TMI story for you. It's like, I have IBS, and it used to be the urgent kind of IBS. So I went over to an ex-boyfriend's house and had dinner with his family when I met them for the first time. Well, halfway through dinner, my stomach started going, if you have IBS or have ever had tummy issues, I had to run out of the room. It was incredibly embarrassing. I was ashamed to walk back into that house. Therefore, after that, I never had dinner over there. Ever again. Ever again. Even though we dated for another 6 or 7 months, I finally was like, I can't do this because I can never face your parents again because it was absolutely a horrible experience. When you overgeneralize something, it becomes this thought pattern of oh, woe is me, it's happened. It holds you back from getting to that next level, or it holds you back from doing the things that you really want to do, going out with your friends, going and doing things, that maybe you did something and you came home and you were sore for 3 days after, but maybe you could go do it again, but in a different way. So it's really important to understand if you are having these overgeneralized thoughts. So that's the first thinking pattern that I see all the time. So the second one I see and I partake in a lot, this is number 2, is focusing on the negative instead of the positive. Have you ever had constructive feedback from 30 people, okay, even 5 people, 4 of them love it, and this one person's like, oh, well, I really liked your presentation, or I really liked whatever you were doing, or, your outfit's really cute, but your hair is kind of a mess, and all you focused on was that your hair was a mess, something happened, and it's that one little tiny thing, or that one little thing that somebody said versus all the good things that happened during that presentation or that event. That is focusing on the negative. When you become hypersensitive to that little tiny thing, you start to focus, you lose focus of the things that are actually bringing you joy. And with so much negativity, all of your symptoms start to flare up. Everything starts to act and react to this negative thought. So it's really important to get a hold of if you become focused on the negative. I'm not saying that every situation has some sort of a positive in it, but you can always put some sort of a positive twist on things. So the other one, number 3, that I notice the most with people that I work with my friends, my family, and personally, again, myself, because remember, I too am a fellow spoonie, is the comparing worth. This one is so hard, and this one is what puts us in these tailwinds of oh my goodness, I'm not enough. Oh my goodness, I can't do as much as so-and-so. Look at her mom so well, and she gets the house done, she cleans, she cooks, she goes to work, she's always put together, and it's I have trouble getting my butt out of bed and taking the dog for a walk. So it's that comparing your worth to others. One of the things that we don't always pay attention to is that we have to manage our energy. Maybe that other person has the energy and they're not struggling with something that's internal, that's sucking that energy just to manage that symptom. Maybe they're not in a constant state of pain. All of that stuff takes energy. So when you're comparing yourself to others or comparing yourself to someone who's not going through the same thing as you, you're really setting yourself back because you're making yourself feel bad for being the way that you are. And you are perfect the way that you are. Yeah, it sucks to have those symptoms flaring up all the time. But know that you are enough and you are here as you are supposed to be. So know that you don't have to push yourself over the limits where you're like, I know I'm having a bad day, but I gotta push through. Find a way to balance that and pull that back with pacing so that you can figure out whereabouts you can get things done. And a great pacing exercise, if you haven't tried it yet, is the power of two. And that power of two it's actually an amazing thing. It gives you 2 activities for 2 pain points to get your levels back down to where you can manage them. So if you haven't tried it, again, I'll put the link in the comments. It's called the power of two. It's a great exercise. So number 4 that I see all the flippin' time is always expecting disaster. If you notice, a lot of these have some common overlaps. It's kind of like overgeneralization. You're always expecting something bad to happen. Whenever something good starts to happen, you're like, okay, what's around the next corner? Because around the next corner, holy crap, something bad's going to happen. So when you're constantly setting yourself up with that fear of the disaster that's coming, guess what you're bringing into yourself? Guess what the law of attraction says? And guess what you have set your body up to get? That disaster. So be really careful with that kind of thinking. Recognize it right away. And it's kind of, also like being a fortune teller. Like, you're expecting it. You're fortune telling. You're thinking about things into the future that haven't happened. And you're thinking of it as a negative instead of a positive. You're expecting it to blow up. You're expecting it to go wrong. And you're expecting to make a complete ass of yourself. Let's be real. It happens. But when you recognize that it's a thought pattern, it is a habit that you have created, you can flip the switch on that thought habit too. So that leads into number 5. And again, all of these overlap. Like I said, predicting the future. That's a thinking distortion. You have become a fortune teller. Ah. Are you going to read my fortune? Because if you can tell me what's happening in the future and it be the actual truth, I'm down. No, actually, I take that back. I don't want to know what's happening in the future. I want to be right here and live this moment without worrying about the next. But being a fortune teller is really hard, and it's really easy when you're stuck with a chronic condition because you've had so many things come up that have prevented you from going as far as you want to go forward. So be really careful of becoming a fortune teller because these are all, again, they line up. The negativity, expecting disaster, overgeneralizing, fortune telling. You end up creating this future based on something that wasn't true reality in the first place, but you made it your reality. Your brain believes whatever you tell it. So make sure that when you start recognizing that you have these habits of these poor, distorted thinking patterns, recognize them and change them. So just because I like bonuses, I'm going to throw in one extra one for you, and that is reading other people's minds. Stop reading other people's minds because you can't freaking do it. If you can, go out and make some serious money. Just do it. But if you can't really read people's minds, stop pretending you're going to read between the lines and know what the other person is thinking, because you don't. And if you are stuck you're listening to this video, it's probably because you have some negative thinking patterns that you want to change. Well, guess what? You're probably thinking negative of somebody else. Somebody might be looking off at a distance while they're talking to you, and you're like, well, she doesn't even want to pay attention. Well, maybe she has some sort of a disorder that makes it so she can't completely concentrate. Or maybe what you're telling that person is making them emotional and they don't want to show emotion. Or maybe something's going on at home that's so major that they're trying to be there for you, but they're not really there. So don't think that you can read their mind. If you have a question, ask them. Hopefully they'll be honest with you. Sometimes it's a brutal honesty. But don't pretend that you can read other people's minds unless you can. And then by all means, go out and make some money doing it. But that's your bonus one. So what can you do about this? The first step to doing this is recognizing it and figuring out the thought patterns. In the link below, I have included a thinking distorter, now I can't even say things, a thinking distortion reference guide for you. But it's not just a reference guide. There is also a worksheet in it where when you start catching yourself in these patterns, you can use this worksheet to go through the flow to be like, here's what my pattern is. Here's what my habit is. Here's the reality of it. Here's how I can break it down, and here's how I can make it better. So it's a really important tool. And when I first heard about it, I was like, whatever. You must be smoking something. That's not going to fix anything. But guess what? As soon as you take hold and you actually physically get it from your brain to a pen, to a piece of paper, it's really a game changer. So don't forget to download that worksheet. If you liked this video and you want to learn more about how to stand tall and become chronically unstoppable, subscribe to this channel, because I will be dropping new information every Tuesday for you on how you can stop being stuck in this, I'm a sick girl, I'm a sick person, I have this symptom, my thoughts are stuck, I'm just stuck. No more being stuck. You deserve the life you love. You deserve the energy, the joy to go out and run with your 2- and 4-legged kids. You deserve to have all the things despite your health conditions. So if you're ready for that, subscribe, hit that little bell, ding, 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 because guess what? Next week, I'll be dropping you a new video that'll give you some more tips on living well with chronic conditions. I hope you have a great day. I take that back. Go out and make today amazing.